What's up guys, it's Zach here. Welcome to another video on how to bulk up for skinny guys. So this was actually a really big pain point for me when I first started out in my journey. So in this video, I'm gonna give you a no BS guide as to how you can actually bulk up fast. So a bit of a background, I've actually been exactly where you guys are who are watching this video right now. I was kind of always on the skinnier side and I always struggled with growing muscle. And before I became a fitness coach, I struggled for a long time, for about 10 years actually, trying to figure out and put all the pieces together to try and gain muscle. And for a long time, it was a lot of trial and error until I put everything together, became a coach, and started to really skyrocket my results once I actually did my nutrition certification. So essentially in this video, I'm gonna actually give you the process that I take all of my clients through who want to grow muscle quickly. And now a little caveat before we get into the nitty gritty and all the details is that when you're actually trying to grow muscle, I don't recommend trying to gain the absolute maximum that you possibly can throughout this process. And what I mean by that is you want to take a sustainable approach to your muscle growth. You don't want to be trying to gain as much as you possibly can and doing the really what they call dirty bulk the entire time. There's a time and a place where that can actually happen, but for the purposes of this video, I'm going to talk about how you can really grow muscle quickly, but at the same time, you want to make it sustainable. So as I said, I'm not just going to be talking about this. I'm going to show you the real strategies that I actually use on myself, that I use to transform, and also on my clients that I currently use to help them transform. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first and most crucial step in this process is your mindset. Now you might be thinking, what do I mean by the mindset? What I mean by this is when it comes to the mindset behind your goal, I'm talking about the purpose as to why you're actually achieving the goal or why you're going after that goal. One of the biggest things that I've seen as a coach, from coaching myself to coaching other people and just my general experience of being on this fitness transformation journey for several years, is that when you don't have a strong enough reason why or reasons why you're actually trying to achieve the goal, then you will not stick to it for the long term to get the results. And so what I've actually discovered and what I implement into all of my coaching and my training now, and what I'm giving to you guys right now, is when you actually can go through and do the work in the very beginning to discover why it is that this goal is actually important to you, then you will actually benefit yourself in the long run by having a strong enough reason or reasons and purpose that will actually see you through until the end. Because as I said, one of the big things that people miss out on is they don't have a strong enough reason that's actually inspiring them, not necessarily motivating them, it's inspiring them, and it's something that you want to act on every single day. So when it comes to actually the mindset component behind fitness, it's basically all the mindset in the beginning. Yes, there are lots of mechanics behind it because at the end of the day, you still need to do the work. But if you don't have the mindset right, then you won't take the actions required to get the results that you want. So that's why I always start with mindset, especially now in my coaching. And what I always tell people, start with the purpose, start with the mindset. And once you get that correct, then the rest of it will follow. So I've actually put together a worksheet that you can use, and I'll put that in the description below. It's a free worksheet, and all you need to do, go down, give that a click, and then just enter in your details and it will send it directly to you. And then you can go ahead and fill out that worksheet and help to develop your purpose behind your goal. So that's step one. Mindset is the first thing that you want to take care of. Now we're going to step into the next part, which is your training. So if you want to grow muscle, if you really want to get proper results, then I always recommend setting yourself up with a structured training program. So I've actually made a video about this already, and I'll leave a link somewhere here on the screen that you can click to watch that one as to why a structured training program is so important. But you need to have a structured training program so that you can implement what's called progressive overload. Now, the structured training program is not just a bunch of random exercises. It's a structured plan that has set exercises in there that allows you to follow it in a consistent manner and apply progressive overload. Now, the next part, progressive overload. What actually is it? You might be wondering what actually is progressive overload. So progressive overload simply means you're making your training harder in some way, shape, or form every single week. Now, that could come in the form of sets, it could come in the form of reps or weight, or it could also be time under tension, so how long you're actually under load, and increasing or decreasing that depending on what your goal is. You could be increasing the number of reps every week or the number of sets that you're doing, or also, yes, you can increase the weight too. Now, a quick expert tip with that one. Before you increase the weight on anything, particularly for muscle growth, but really for any goal, as a coach, this is what I can tell you if you really want to get amazing results in the gym and actually grow muscle faster. So what you want to do if you really want to get good results in the gym and apply this progressive overload so you can get better results is to earn the right to increase the weight. So what I mean by that is don't just go into the gym and try and lift as much weight as you possibly can. Focus on your form first, get that perfect and dialed in, and then from that point, you can increase the reps, you can increase the sets, and then you can increase the weight. Or before that, you can also increase time under tension as well. But I would recommend doing it in that order because it means that you can master the technique first and then you can increase the weight. And from that point, you'll be set up with good technique to continue and make progress over time. Because one of the biggest mistakes that I see, especially for beginners in the gym, is they go in, and I made this mistake too myself when I first started out, before I was a coach, before I knew anything, was I would just try and lift as much weight as possible. There was too much ego in there and I just wasn't getting the results that I wanted because I wasn't doing proper form, which meant that I'm actually not working the muscles in the correct way and I'm actually not getting the most out of the movement. So when I actually stripped everything back and tried to master the technique first, and then I increased the reps, increased the sets, increased the time under tension, increased the weight, then I actually ended up getting more out of the movement and therefore I got better results. So, structured training program. If you want to actually get a head start on that, I've actually put a guide in the description below. If you want to get a copy of, I put a step-by-step guide with literally free workout plans, everything covering your nutrition and everything else below. But I'll also put in just the free workouts as well if you want to get a copy of those as well. But yeah, so you can get started using that. But a structured training program is going to be absolutely vital, particularly if your goal is muscle growth, which means that, again, you're not putting in random exercises and doing random things and showing up to the gym and just kind of doing what you feel like doing. You're actually following a proper plan and you're not just winging it and guessing it. You follow the consistent exercises so that you can apply the progressive overload principles to those exercises and actually see better results over time. So just a quick note as well for progressive overload, a little pro tip. You don't need to add lots and lots of reps and lots of sets every single week to get muscle growth. You only need a little bit. So in a practical sense, what progressive overload could look like, it could mean, for example, if you did 10 reps on a set of squats one week, then simply applying this progressive overload could mean doing 11 or 12 reps on one or two of the sets the next week. It doesn't mean adding like a full nother set of more and more reps on each one. It could just be 1 or 2 reps on 1 or 2 sets per exercise. So you don't have to complicate progressive overload. It's just a little bit every single week to continuously challenge the muscles to grow. All right, so that's step 2. That's your training covered. So as I said, I'll put links for all of that stuff in the description if you want to get a copy of the ebooks or the workout programs or the calorie calculators, which I'm going to cover now. But again, all of the stuff here, you can get them separately, but I've actually put all of this stuff in depth in the guide below as well. So I probably recommend just going for that one. But again, it's entirely up to you. All right, so now we're going to cover nutrition. Now, for me, this was probably the biggest game changer when it came to my progress overall in the gym. So you may or may not know about this principle, but similar to in the gym where you have to be applying progressive overload, in your nutrition, you need to be applying a caloric surplus every single week, every single day, consistently in order to actually increase your weight. So for me, I didn't know anything about nutrition before I did my nutrition certification, and I had no idea about calories. I just thought, I just eat food and gain muscle and whatever. I just didn't really take any notice of that. But when I actually went and did this education and learned about caloric surplus and eating enough protein, understanding macronutrients a little bit more in depth, then that was actually when I went from 83 kilograms to 110 kilograms in 1 year. So that's about 25 kilograms increase in weight over 1 year, which is pretty substantial. So The first principle that you need to understand is a caloric surplus. And before we get into the caloric surplus, what you need to understand is that every single day, your body requires a certain amount of calories in order to maintain its current function, maintain your current weight, and just pretty much stay alive. And this is what we call maintenance calories. So you're not gaining weight, you're not losing weight, you're pretty much staying stable with the exception of, little fluctuations and so forth. You're mostly staying the same weight. Now, if you want to gain weight, you need to be consuming over a consistent period of time, you need to be consuming more calories than your body burns on a daily basis. And now you need to be applying this consistently if you want to continuously increase your weight and grow muscle. And a way you can understand this is if you want to get a building and you want to make that building taller, how do you do that? You do that with more material. You can't make a building taller without extra material to actually make it taller. The same principle applies with your body. If you don't have the actual materials, the raw materials that your body can use to be in a caloric surplus and actually start growing muscle and give it something that it can use to increase your weight and increase muscle, then it simply won't do it. You won't actually grow any muscle. So it's very important to understand that. And now also, if you're looking to lose weight, the reverse would apply. So you'd need to be in a consistent caloric deficit in order to lose fat. But obviously, for the purposes of this video, we're talking about a muscle growth and consistent caloric surplus. So one of the best strategies that I use on myself and for my clients for growing muscle is to track your calories. You can use any number of the apps out there. If you're old fashioned, you could use a pen and paper if you want to do that, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. Especially in 2024, you want to kind of digitize things and make it a bit easier for yourself. So if you're working with a coach, then you could use their coaching app if it's got the food database that you can track in there. I get all my clients to track that inside of mine as well. But another thing you can do, MyFitnessPal is a great option. You could use Chronometer as well. That's another good option too. But number one thing I would be doing from the beginning is track your calories to see how many you're actually eating on a daily and weekly basis. And then you're going to compare that against your caloric surplus. And you want to be making sure that you're hitting those targets every single day. Now, the next step, obviously, is you want to actually calculate a caloric surplus for you. So every single person is different and the caloric surplus is going to vary based on the person, based on how tall you are, all of your biometrics and all of how your body's structured and so forth. So everyone is different and you will have different numbers based on that too. So first thing, calculate your caloric surplus, and then from that point, you're going to track your calories against that target to be trying to hit that target every single day. So when it comes to calculating your caloric surplus and protein targets, which is another important element as well, you want to be making sure that you're also consuming enough protein on a daily basis to feed your muscles to grow. So if you want to make a start on that right now and you want to calculate how many calories and how much protein you need on a daily basis, then again, I've left a calorie calculator in the description if you want to check that out. Again, it's in the full guide as well, but either one, you can use that and get started right now. But one of the other things that I want to cover for you guys is the difference between the clean bulking and the dirty bulking. So you might have seen a lot of people talking about the clean versus the dirty bulking and which approach they want to take. And what I take is somewhere in between. I take a balanced approach. I use this for myself, I use it for my clients, and I use a more sustainable approach, which is built into everything I do in my coaching, to allow you to get results, still enjoy yourself, still get health benefits, but you're also still able to kind of balance between the two. And you can still get results whilst being able to balance your lifestyle and not having to restrict yourself too much. And what I've actually found is using the 80-20 approach, which simply just means 80% of the time, I'm trying to eat good, solid, whole foods, minimally processed stuff, and 20% of the time, I'm consuming pretty much whatever I want, like leisure foods, going out, takeaway, chips, whatever, anything you want. So the reason why I take the 80-20 approach, and again, you can play with these numbers too. You don't have to follow necessarily 80-20. Some people try to eat 90% and 10% kind of like the leisure eating. You can play with those numbers and you can improve with them over time, but it's more about having balance between the two. So I use this approach on myself and I use it for my clients as well. But essentially what it does is it's a sustainable approach to nutrition. It allows you to enjoy yourself, and it also allows you to get the health benefits from it too. And you don't have to do this clean versus dirty bulking. You kind of get a blend of the two. and you can also still get the health benefits, as I said, and still get the results. So as I said, follow this approach, track your calories, calculate how much you need on a daily basis and weekly basis of your calories to reach your caloric surplus, and also to see how much you need in terms of protein to be achieving that goal. Now, as I said, all those links are in the description if you want to get a copy of that stuff. It's pretty straightforward, but that's quite a simple approach to your nutrition that you can take, and that will literally help you get so much progress already. So just to sum up on that, the first thing you want to do is track the amount of calories you're currently eating, calculate your caloric surplus for you, find out how much protein you need on a daily basis as well, and you also want to track your calories against the goal and try to be reaching that every single day. And the last thing you want to do is follow that 80-20 approach so you can still enjoy yourself and you can still eat healthy as well, and you're not swapping and changing between the dirty bulk versus the clean bulk. You're having a sustainable approach that's going to last the long term. Now, the next step is your recovery and sleep. So you guys may or may not have heard, but when you go into the gym, you're actually breaking down the muscle. And when you go to rest and when you're sleeping and recovering, that's where you're actually building the muscle. That's where it's getting stronger and recovering. And so you can probably imagine that your recovery and sleep plays an absolutely vital role in your ability to grow muscle. So the guidelines that I like to go by is the 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Try and get whatever's good for you, but at the end of the day, you want to be hitting those numbers for many different reasons, but mainly for your recovery. One of the other things behind why it's so important to get good sleep is that you also regulate certain hormones when you're sleeping. You produce certain hormones that actually help you to grow muscle, in addition to the actual recovery that occurs during your sleep. So you want to be making sure that you actually prioritize your sleep and set up a solid routine at nighttime that primes your brain, primes your body for a good night's sleep, and you can actually get better gains and better recovery so you can come back and break down that muscle and keep repeating that process and get better results over time. Now, the other thing when it comes to your recovery is also your recovery from sessions, or how long you should leave in between sessions too. So the general guidelines to follow when it comes to how to know when you're ready to actually train the muscle group again. So the general guideline that I usually go by when it comes to recovery for muscles and when you know when to train them again is actually pretty much just the soreness levels. The general guidelines for recovery is to leave about 48 to 72 hours between muscle groups, or until they're fully recovered. And to be honest, it's pretty simple in terms of the recovery method. You simply just want to make sure that your muscles are actually fully recovered and they're not still sore and you're still training them when they're actually sore. Leave enough time in between your sessions so that your muscles can fully recover, and then you can come back again and train them again. Otherwise, you're actually training your muscles whilst they're still broken down and still healing, and then you're breaking them down again, which is actually a recipe for injury. So don't do that. Just follow the guidelines, make sure that your muscles are fully recovered before you go into your next training session, and that's how you'll also maximize the results that you get in the gym as well. Now, the final point that I wanted to give to you guys is probably one of the things that I don't see many people talking about, but it's still something that I always include and I try to coach my clients on, and something I use myself as well, and that is your stress management. So as you guys may or may not know, stress or too much stress can have a bit of an adverse effect on our ability to grow muscle if it's not regulated properly. A little bit of stress is fine here and there, but if you're chronically stressed and you're not managing and you don't have tools to deal with the stress in your life, then this is actually going to affect your ability to get results in the gym. And what I mean by this is if you've got constantly high levels of cortisol, not only is this actually catabolic to your muscles, but it also just affects your inspiration, your motivation levels to want to go into the gym. It also affects your sleep as well, which means that it could be detrimental to your ability to recover. So it kind of has a bit of a spiraling effect and affects multiple different areas. So you need to have some tools in place in order to manage stress levels and keep them at a certain level, so you're not getting overly stressed all the time, and then you're also then affecting your muscle growth. So a couple tools that I like to use in terms of stress management that I give to my clients and what I also use for myself is meditation. It's quite a helpful one for managing stress. You can also do some journaling, you can do breath work as well. Exercising obviously is something that's very useful for managing stress, or also just doing like hobbies as well can be very helpful. Doing some kind of sport as well, and just keeping active, going for walks, decompressing. All that kind of stuff is very helpful for managing your stress. So you probably don't hear many fitness coaches talking about this, but in terms of balancing your perceptions behind different things, I'm not going to go into detail about that, but you can look up different people about balancing perceptions as well, so that you can manage your responses to different stresses and things that happen in your life. If you learn to balance your perceptions of things, you don't have as adverse of reactions to different things as well, and you can learn to respond and manage your stress responses. And another tool you can also use is just connection with people as well. So connecting with people who are like-minded, connecting with communities as well. That's one of the reasons why I've developed such a community inside of my coaching program, because when you have community, you have connection, you can also, that actually helps to decrease stress levels and to keep them under wraps and make sure you're managing it properly. But it could also just be connecting with a loved one, could be connecting with your friends, hanging out with your friends, or connecting with like-minded people that you get along with. It doesn't necessarily matter. Having that connection there with someone who helps you to reduce stress levels is another important factor for having tools in place to manage stress. So that's a couple of points that you can use. Hopefully you can take something away from that. But managing your stress is a very, very important tool as well to have in your toolbox for increasing and optimizing for muscle growth. So anyway, guys, we've come to the end of the video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. This is literally exactly the process that I follow through with my clients and what I use for myself as well to grow muscle. But I hope you got some value out of this one. If you want to take advantage of any of those links below, then I'll leave them in the description and you can go through any of those ones, download any of the resources and take advantage of that and get started on your muscle growth journey. But I hope you guys found this helpful. And if you're also looking to take it a step further and get personalized help from me to help you achieve your muscle growth goals, then I'll leave a link in the description. If you want to apply for a call with me, we can go through and I can see if I can help you out with some one-on-one coaching. But either way, hope you guys got value from this video. Thanks for joining in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.